Hello and welcome to Your Questions Answered. I'm Michael Sidgwick, joined by fellow Dudley boy Michael Hamflett to do precisely that. But before we get into it, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure to subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and YouTube for daily wrestling podcasts where we preview and review Raw, SmackDown, the show formerly known as NXT 2.0. Oh, Dynamite, Collision sometimes, pay-per-views, premium live events. We answer your bloody questions, host roundtable discussions. We have interviews with wrestlers on occasion, and we round up the week with a bloody good quiz, of course, on Wrestle Culture. How are we feeling today?
All right. Yeah, all right. Yeah. I feel like I can't do it in front of you. I'm still a bit tired. Like, I can't quite get the sleep. Can't quite get the sleep right. They say you can run as fast as you can, but you can't outrun the leg. I'm all right. I'm excited for this.
You're from America and Canada.
Yeah, still tired.
You're taking the piss.
Yeah, totally. But, like, still tired.
Okay, well,
late nights this week, I'm matching that.
Okay, well, wake up because we've got some questions to answer.
Wake up. It's question time.
Wake up, baby. It's question time. I don't know what that is. Is that anything?
I don't know.
The first question from today, if you want to get involved, by the way, in future editions of this podcast, which we do because we get quite a few questions on X throughout the week, we don't necessarily have time to answer all of them, so I thought we'd give you graciously this opportunity to do so on a formal basis. The first one, you can do so at M. Sidgwick and at Michael Hamflett at WhatCulture WWE. If we remember to retweet it, we did not on today's occasion. Nick DeGaris, great name. I've probably butchered it. Says, what ring gear design do you think needs more love? Lance Storm's red and white tights from WCW for me. You know what I loved back in the old day? Mark Merrow's boxing getup.
Right, okay.
Don't know why.
Yeah.
He had the body for it.
It was quite a jump as well, wasn't it, from the Wild Man?
Yeah.
It was a proper, like, he'd been injured less than a year. And it felt like he'd been gone from the company 5 years.
Yeah.
This guy.
Aye. I've probably said this before. I will say it again. I have a particular fondness for Kenny Omega's attire at All Out 2022. Sequined kick pads, like a lovely, lovely pattern on the old tights. Full tan, working in exquisite contrast to the pale kinesio tape and the compression vest. And like sort of did that rushed version of I'm back and I'm just making you think that I'm broken, so when I'm not broken it looks even more spectacular, and it's another exquisite contrast to the terrible shorts he insists on wearing to my chagrin on television. Come on, Kenny, you're a star. Start looking like one. Hamflett, this is a bit of you, over to you.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned shorts and Mark Merrow's gear, because the closest a punker ever came with those ones he wore against Kojima.
Closest I've come to
watch it. Yeah. Oh my God. Because the Eddie Kingston ones are not underrated, are they? I think it's widely accepted that's the best CM Punk gear ever.
He should have. I saw him wearing those at Full Gear 2021 and just thought, wear them all the time. Wear them all the time. Better than the Long Boys, which was self-indulgent. Yeah. But almost better than his iconic trunks.
Like there was, and like
cock flapping around.
And the pleathery, shiny, the glossy effect really helps, though, doesn't it? They looked a bit fancy. Yeah. Which is what he is, even when he pretends he's not. Yeah. Sort of thing. But no, the out of nowhere Kojima, like sort of boxing shorts, the black and gold ones with the 7 stars on. Yeah. But when he said Kenny, it did actually make me think of one, because I think he gets praise for his gear that I don't understand.
Yes.
Because gaming people, anime people, whatever, know all the references and I don't. So I'm
anime people, whatever.
Cartoons and that. I just like certain.
You ever watched a single anime in your life?
Akira.
I like Akira a great deal.
One of my mates had it on video when we were like too young for it. And it was like, violent. It's a cartoon, but violent.
Yeah.
That was probably like South Park was probably popping off. I was like, turns out animated stuff.
I like Akira.
I didn't really like it, but I was watching it.
I like Akira a great deal. I like Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Your Majesty.
I like My Neighbor Totoro and selected other Studio Ghibli works.
That's the pig guy.
No, that's Porco Rosso.
I've seen that.
My Neighbor Totoro is the big cat bus fella.
Cat bus?
Oh, it's amazing, man. It is such a wonderful, whimsical, low stakes, little to no peril, wonderful, beautiful watch.
I might have just aged into that, hitting my 40s now that you
described it. Watch it with the kids.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
All right, okay. Well, I like... So Kenny Omega, when he's wearing his cat bus tights, people go like, fans of that, like, whoa, cat bus Kenny.
Totoro. Go on.
Alone in the world with the little cat boys. Anything?
Anymore.
And
maybe, who knows?
But as a result, I don't think he gets as much credit for when just they're really aesthetically pleasing. The tights he wore when there was that Winnipeg Jets 3-way looked unbelievable.
Oh, the Canada coded.
Yeah.
Bit like Lance Storm.
Yes. Also like Lance Storm, or the point that Nick DeGaris is referencing, because Lance Storm's white ones were for Team Canada in contrast to the black ones he wore in the Impact Players in ECW, where Kenny and White in general is unbelievable. Yeah. When he wore the white ones for Anarchy in the Arena 2023, like it pops. He's got the right shade of tan for it. Yeah. And you're so used to him in like the darker tights, so that's always really cool. This is such a me coded one. Like, I was going to say you won't believe it, but you will believe it almost too much. Everything about the WWE NWO stunk other than the gear.
Scott Hall's.
Oh,
yeah.
And because
Oh my God. Oh my God.
It's funny, right? We'll take it back to Punk. You said when he came back to WWE.
You and your punker.
I'll tell you what, Hamflett. Let me tell you about your favourite wrestler, Hamflett. I was like, what's that, Sidgwick? He said, he will never wear those long boys in WWE, not a one time.
Not one time.
And then we would sometimes go on to Cody Rhodes wearing Star Trek for Blood Feuds and whatever. It's just like in WWE, they just don't. There's a wrestler brain thing of like, I won't do that.
No.
Their boss. And like, I like Hall and Nash's, like Nash in the red in WCW for the first time was as wild as Hogan with a beard and black trunks. So it was like, Diesel's in red. What's going on? But like, I wish he'd worn the white.
Is this one?
Is this one? But
when you wore what?
Imagine the white palette switch just once for the end of black and white, the NWO. But so when they go to WWE, I think even they know this might only be a short run, but WWE will brand this and we will get paid off this branding in a way that we got the guaranteed contract money in WWE. We never got the merch checks. We never got the Austin 316 money. This is our chance. So Nash gets the NWO on the vest, on the long tights. Hall's got the logo splashed across the trunk.
It looks amazing.
It looks better than the blood dripping. Is that controversial? Like,
I think it's better.
Yeah, it's like a stamp.
I think it's better. Yeah,
like they've even had like Hall and Nash made in the NWO font. And it's like, wow. X-Pac comes back and he's finally binned the gear that we were all tired of, and he's got like the black and white shorts instead. Booker T gets some NWO trunks in a couple of weeks that he's in the group. It's WWE in 2002. It's dead. It's well branded. It's dead. Basically. So yeah, and I think that does go underrated because as soon as you say NWO WWE, all trash. Shawn Michaels looks great in the NWO t-shirt.
Yeah.
Like in his little Kangol hat. Like he's not pulling that off. Nobody was but Shane Douglas 3 years earlier. But the branding of the NWO in WWE was the one thing, predictably, they got right about it.
Who regularly wears your favorite gear today, other than CM Punk?
Good question. I still get a kick. I got one in the friggin' main event of Night 1 of WrestleMania. I still get a kick when Roman does the tiniest little different things with the shoes and gloves. He knows how. It's like his matches at this point.
Yeah.
Do a headline. Use your special.
Use your special.
Like, I don't know. And I'm going to kick myself when I don't get it right. Who have you got, man?
I for now, really like Kyle Fletcher owning hot pink. I like it when a wrestler has a home jersey, a home kit, and then do it special. Use your special on pay-per-view. I love hot pink because I think the idea is that he's going for this F-boy. In his own head, he's like, and Callis is great at pumping him up like this like sexy young stud who's lost the puppy fat and now he's ready to start all over the world. That's like the hot pink really works for him from a character perspective.
I like at the moment the Dominic Mysterio like white variant that he's going for because it makes him look even more of an asshole.
Yeah.
And just good gear in general. It's one of the many things that separates her from the pack. Stephanie Vaquer's gear is really good at the, like the leg tape stuff.
Yeah.
It's a bit throwbacky. It's kind of like early 2000s sub-Matrix film.
Yeah.
I had a housemate that would wear a leather duster and he would have definitely been into her character. What were those? It was like the Resident Evil type films.
Yes.
And it shouldn't work, but I think that's like...
Who's this, sorry, the
Stephanie Vaquer.
Yes.
Like, it's a testament how over she is.
Yeah.
It's like, she's just brought that back and it's pretty cool. Like the eye stuff, a couple of years ago, it would have been a bit like...
Bit Mally.
Malakai Blacky, wasn't it? Bit Mally. And it's like,
Mally.
She's getting away with that. Like, Why can't you, Mally?
Absolutely. Honorable mention before we move on to the next question. MJF, Lilac, Darby Allin, Full Gear 2021.
Oh, yeah.
He looked at business. You should, again, have that as your home kit. And then MJF likes to tell stories through his attire on pay-per-view. I get that. Don't stop doing that. But then again, he doesn't really have a home kit. His gimmick is he doesn't wrestle on telly.
Lilac and Aquamarines almost never miss.
Like those, like basically Rick Martel.
Yeah.
Fed Martel.
Yeah.
Oh, God, he looked
There's, I think it's when he lost to, the belt to Triple H. Randy Orton had these like turquoise aquamarines on. They looked unbelievable. When he mixes it up and he makes you wait.
Yeah,
but when he actually mixes,
go
with blue. When Randy Orton, he wore a did you see his WrestleMania ones for the Hendry match?
Yes.
The
Bob
blue.
Holly, yeah.
That's nice.
That was nice.
Bless him, he's trying.
You're not even nostalgic for that time.
No, but he did.
And
he is now, apparently.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Apparently so. The next one comes from Scott Lil Bruiser 14. What do you think Cody's vision was for AEW? It's been noted a couple of times that him and Tony Khan had different visions for the company, and it was part of the reason for the split, but it sounds like NDAs might keep us from ever knowing. I personally believe that the NDA is about a separate topic.
What did Cody call it one time?
Personal issue.
Thing. Yeah.
Personal issue. Then he's come out, even though he's apparently signed an NDA, saying, oh, well, all right, Books, and it'll come out, so look forward to that. So Cody's vision for AEW, I wanted to answer this question because I defended it. It's along the lines of, we should do tournaments all the time. They don't really draw if you look at historically tournaments on pay-per-view, like, little mini tournaments even.
WrestleMania 4 and the first Kings of the Ring, isn't it? Put Vince off doing them.
Yeah. So I think it's one of those.
We like him.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things where be careful what you wish for. Might bloody well come true. With Cody, his thing was, and it's similar with Kenny Omega and his understated approach to telling injury-driven storylines, and it just turned people off, apparently, in the late summer of 2022. Cody had said, and now that he's the top babyface in WWE, and he's amazing at it, and he's interacting with the kids and being the top babyface and all the rest of it. I don't think he believes this anymore, but at the time, he echoed and shared sentiments from a lot of fans in that pre-AEW, we're stuck with Vince forever, this is awful, everything opposite is needed.
Yeah.
In those days, he was very much, don't believe in baby faces and heels, and if anyone can get away with thinking that and trying to make it a thing, it is a guy who had the ultimate defiant raw AEW anti-Triple H entrance at Double or Nothing. In the body of the at the first Double or Nothing, in the body of the match, he's this dickhead, violent, cocky arsehole to his brother who gets his bare ass whipped with a belt.
Best match ever. We
go
on
detail. YouTube, subscribe on YouTube to WhatCulture Wrestling Podcast, and you'll be able to watch us lavishly praise it amongst another match that might come up, which was masquerading as a cheap plug. And then in the aftermath, I need my older brother, and turn face again.
Yeah.
Face, heel, face, and he rocked them all, shook the pillars of heaven. Of course, he's going to think, I'll just be very fluid and situational. Maybe, just maybe, like the creative vision, where apparently Cody wanted something else, a more WCW Mid-South coded thing to the Elite, who wanted these grandiose, epic storylines, so much so that they thought they'd get the Dark Order over. So I don't know which original member of that booking committee had which competing vision specifically, but they all competed and it just all was a mess. But Cody, I think his vision was, I'm not a babyface, he had the t-shirt, I'm not a babyface, I'm not a heel, I'm a champion. And his idea was he wanted to be that uber athlete, that Michael Jordan who was just, I'm a winner, I'm a winner, I'm a winner. I'll be a dick if I need to win. I'm a winner, I'm a winner, I'm a winner. And this seemed to be in concert with people don't want baby faces and heels. It's a bit rote, and we want some sports-oriented stories. Cody listened to those sentiments online, maybe even in the arena, and went, all right, okay, well, I'll play a Puro-style ace defending a belt, and that's my story. And people were like, you're a bit of a dick. What? I thought you wanted this, but yeah. That's my 2 cents on what Cody wanted in AEW, and it didn't really work, even though people said they wanted it.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it, that Cody wanted, or certainly wanted to replicate elements of WCW that he loved and felt.
The concession stand brawl and all that stuff.
Yeah, like that part of wrestling, obviously, because he grew up around some of it.
His favourite era of wrestling is 89 to 94 WCW. He's a WCW kid, obviously.
That's it, with his dad at the helm of most of it as well. So like there's loads of reasons why that would be the thing he would lean on. It is interesting that, and everyone in every line of work has blind spots, but it's interesting that one of the things he would have a big blind spot to is the persistent failure of a booking committee in WCW, and yet he was prepared to be part of a one that needed unilateral control. Like there could have never been a point in that room before Tony Khan sort of tore it up at Christmas. There could have never been a point in that room where Kenny, Matt, Nick, and Cody couldn't give each other 25% each. You kind of have to be like, can I have a bit more of this one? Why? Yeah. Why do you get more? We've got 2 hours. We're all going to get our stuff in or whatever our ideas across. I'm not saying for themselves. I mean, for everybody. Like that was at the heart of so many creative failures within WWE. Like it was ultimately to an enormous and far more damaging fault within WWE. But when WWE in the 90s was hot, or wrestlers at least respected WWE's process, it was because there's one boss. Yeah. That's what we know about WWE, and WCW is the inmates running the asylum down there, over there, these W's. You got like 16 bosses, and you can't even, the real boss is Ted Turner, and he ain't even there. That's what Vince told me. Like but there was loads of people. Committee stuff. Committees would fail over and over and over again. Yeah. And it's just funny that was what, maybe it was keeping the peace.
If you want a picture of a camel, you know what you need to do? You're a committee to design a horse.
What it ends up looking like. Anything. Put the humps on the back. What's that for? I had to make a concession room, didn't I? I was making Nick Jackson mode a hump, so we had a bloody hump on it. I got the hump. Cody, it is. This came up on another podcast. It is mind-bending to me that he's been in WWE longer than AEW. Because that AEW run was 100 million years. Like we lived 50 of Cody's lives.
Yeah, no.
In like
Cody lived 50 Cody lives.
2.5 years, and he did it all. Like, and he's been 3 years WWE top babyface. That's just top babyface. It's been a Hogan run more than anything. Yeah. More than Steve Austin, who went sort of up and down the ladder before he finally found his feet. The Rock, who had to get it wrong before he got it right and then bounced. John Cena, maybe that's the aspiration for Cody. He's doing a Hogan run.
I don't think it would be anymore.
Not anymore. He's like if 84 to 87, to use the example, it's Cody coming back at WrestleMania 38 and then main events his third WrestleMania match in a row, main event in 41, and that's like that'd get you to like Hogan Andre, and you still think, no, Hogan's babyface run still got years in it. Yeah. So's Cody's.
Yeah.
It's one straight line.
But he doesn't believe in babyface.
But the AEW one, it's just like there could be books on Cody's entire run. The stuff he packed in that AEW run, that's a great question because you could watch week to week and not quite know what Cody's vision is. Yeah. And I think he means well with all of it. I've gotten a lot like more lenient to early Cody. We used to have shoot fights about Cody, and I was like, Sidge, how's he a babyface? And then he was like, Hamflett, watch the show with your ears open, you thick idiot. Look at, and I was like,
I said, Hamflett, travel forward in time and look at Paul Levesque in overseer of the Fed.
Yeah, like I couldn't deny the buildings. I was like, well, yeah, all right, it's me. I'm the problem, it's me. And then like pandemic Cody, different gravy. And then 2021 Cody, wheels falling off Cody. Like he's still trying so hard.
Yeah.
He like
sets people on fire.
He sets himself on fire, cut people and his mum. Like he's doing out. Sammy Guevara in that ladder match. Like he goes out on his sword. It's unbelievable. Is that guy 5 off Dave?
Got a 5.
It's unbelievable. Like winning the belt on Christmas. Oh, what a heel. I'm not turning. Excuse me?
What? I'll have a match with Hook. Nah, just kidding. Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. Don't know what we're doing here, but kidding. So the answer is, I don't know.
Maybe, genuinely, I understand that this year there's going to be the second best book about the formation of AEW going to market. Maybe that will shed some light.
Yeah.
They should. I know he's not on the cover.
They're not going to. It's been endorsed by AEW.
The Cody erasure would be something.
It would be something. Tanae Gosh, that is almost certainly butchered. I apologize in advance. As someone who mainly watches AEW, I mostly end up feeling that they don't do enough to elevate moments, matches as huge deals. WWE makes a bigger deal out of less and inferior stuff, correct? How can AEW improve on this? Example given, Gabe Kidd did a thing and the focus shifted within seconds. Now, I don't want to dig you out. I think that, and it's probably a timing error on their part. They literally didn't get the story straight in time. I think they needed to have Swerve throw out the challenge for Anarchy in the Arena to tell you that it's happening. Otherwise, they're going to announce the main event on the go-home show, and that's not a great idea in terms of pay-per-view buys. But, of course, in general principle, I completely agree with this take. I just think with Gabe Kidd inserting himself in Anarchy in the Arena, if they'd done that as the big twist of like Gabe Kidd is aligned with the Death Riders a week before and then you have another week, that would make it better. But generally speaking, yes, I agree. Like Brian Alvarez was involved in a culture war with hardcore AEW fans over the last however many weeks because sometimes, I love Brian Alvarez, and I always will. I just find him very, very funny, and I think he's very insightful as well. I
really like him now. I've come all the way around on Brian Alvarez.
He's good.
He's left his ranting years in the past, and I agree with you.
He's picked his spots now. His rants really mean something. They're funny as hell.
And he's always been insightful, but I think they got lost to the volume of it when I was younger, and I didn't want that type of content. Now, I think when he's actually got something to pick at, rather than the weekly ranters, we won't name the names, but the weekly ranters mean nothing to me. He's got one in him every 6 months, but otherwise it's just like kind of well-placed insights and dealing with like helping Dave.
Yeah. Helping Dave.
Helping Dave.
So Alvarez was caught embroiled in something of a culture war with hardcore AEW fans where he does have, and I'll enjoy this about him, but this laser-focused, this one thing has kind of ruined the show for him. And then he's kind of in a mood, and he dwells on that mood or within that mood for about half an hour and goes, the next match was great, but I'm still pissed off about the other thing. Like, you get the one thing that pisses him off, really pisses him off, where he's like, they need to start doing video packages. And then the opposite side of that war were like, are you stupid? Do you not watch the show? Da-da-da-da-da. And he was trying to make the point of, I'm not telling you that these things haven't happened. He says that they should do way, way, way more recap videos just to reinforce this matters because, if they do that, the AW feeling will be a part of us all. That's one of the best gags of all time.
Yeah.
It is so, I'm sorry to repeat myself, but this is where you'll remember it. And I remember that gag forever and I will until I die. It might be as simple as that. Here's something, right? Yes, I know Tony Khan likes Christian Cage. It's just a recent example of what you could do instead. So Nick Wayne gets his most TV profile when he's literally leaving TV to go to the Best of Super Juniors. I think that's just a way to tell you, we haven't forgotten about him, nor will we. We're going to pick it up with Christian Cage, but this is why he's not going to be around. It's weird that he gets the good grace to be told. Like, the audience gets told, that's why Nick Wayne's gone away. You don't get told why anybody else does, but never mind. Did we need that? I don't think so. Certainly not 2 impromptu matches really in a row on Dynamite. It just felt like a waste of time to me. A waste of time. Instead of using that or, the 5th or 6th match on Dynamite that no one gives a toss about. Was it Jay Lethal versus Nick Wayne? Don't need it, never need that. No one's ever going to think, God, what a match that was. It was always going to go 8 minutes of utterly superfluous for the sake of having a match on your card when there's already loads or there's already long ones, back and forth action. That's when you can do a video package. And I think in the early days of AEW, there was this deal. I really am interested in your insight on this as well, because you're a big proponent of this sort of thing. I think you're better qualified to answer the question. But I think, to play devil's advocate, early minute by minute number data on the early days of AEW Dynamite very much indicated live action. The second there's a recap, for whatever reason, maybe it's like, this isn't live. This isn't this new thing.
It's wartime as well, and people were hopping a bit.
Yeah.
A little bit,
yeah. There was like a pollination of viewership towards November and December 2019, but that was, I think it might have given Tony Khan the old scaries of like, don't do that if you can. At this point, we've reached the floor. Like, there was a rating last night. I can't remember the specific numbers, but it was like heavily trumpeted by AEW, and, you know, by the standards of whatever 2 years ago, it's not great, but we are where we are. And because we are where we are, the bottom, I don't think it's getting any lower. Certainly not now, when people seem enthused by the product all over again. Is now not the time to start doing this?
Yes.
I have one more point to make.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
First.
Do you want to make your point?
No, so I think AEW fans get defensive about this sort of thing. And certainly I've done it before. It's like, you're not just infer things. People are wary of this happening in case the storylines that they can follow, because they watch weekly every single week, how else are you going to watch it weekly? Yeah. Are fully comprehensible to them, and they get it, and and they don't want AEW to make concessions to the people who aren't watching. And on a philosophical level, I absolutely get that. But a bit of reinforcement wouldn't go amiss. Like, I don't want to rip off Dave Meltzer's thing, but I do try and learn. He should learn to go off Twitter and take his own advice. Seriously, he should. But I do try and learn, and I think a little bit of just reinforce this. Don't spoon feed me it. Don't batter me over the head, but simply reinforce it. Like, you want to try and brainwash people, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking as somebody brainwashed by that sort of production, this is going to sound like a cop-out answer, but it's not, and I will articulate why. They can't, and they won't, and they never will. That's what's happening here.
It's just Tony's thing, innit?
These things we're talking about that sound simple to us as fans because of how we've watched not just one product, but many products, and figured out what it is we like about our tastes and our choices and things like that from a production standpoint. They can't, and they won't, and they never will, because it is not hard-coded in Tony Khan's DNA to produce a wrestling show that way, in the way that it was so hard-coded in Vince McMahon's that more of WWE, when the power of video packages became as effective as they obviously were, more of WWE's weekly television became about getting stuff ready for a video package than it did about telling the story.
Yeah.
And we walked
CM Punk would talk about sound bites, wouldn't
sound bites, promos.
He worked out, he gamed the systems.
Yep.
Like, I need to do a sound bite, and then I'll get a push because it's going to sound good in a video package.
Yep, and you can hear wrestlers' cadence, and it was the justification for the scripting and everything. It was because it was like, well, my character's not going to sound right saying this line. Yeah, well, wait till the production team put together the video package, and you're going to love that.
Yeah.
And years
this
later.
Big synthetic, holistic process.
Yeah. That's a great way of putting it, yeah, because like years later, people will look back on that, and they will look back on it fondly, and then they might actually want to go watch the match because they've had such a good time watching the video package, and that'll be good for your work and how it ages. And then nobody's like, not nobody, that's generalizing, but people aren't going to worry that the actual Raw promo in which you delivered it stunk.
Yes.
Because they're going to watch this video package, it's going to have some friggin', I don't know, Imagine Dragon song or whatever, and then people are going to be like, "Ooh, I fancy the match now," and they'll watch the match, and your work survives. Legacy stuff. Tony Khan doesn't think like that.
No, he never will.
Like wrestling like that. And we know this, like, and that's all right, but it is a difference. I think you have no choice but to embrace, as we embrace all the differences. Like, so I've tried really hard in our AEW coverage over the last year or so to stop myself. If my brain's saying, I wish they'd done this, and then I think, but do I just wish that because it would be a bit more like WWE?
Yeah.
And then I try and pull back from that a little bit because I've been a massive advocate of them moving as far away from each other. It's the exact same reason why I lean in when WWE do the things that are so intrinsically WWE. We are finding ourselves at the moment. Raw is probably the better example than just WWE in general. We are finding ourselves watching Raw and watching Dynamite, and we just like the worlds better.
Yeah.
I think there are things we can praise and criticize about both shows, but it's definitely a case of how we feel the second we sit down. Is that fair?
Yeah,
I
of course
speak
it is,
for you,
yeah.
but like away from
Raw
the usual,
world,
away from the usual divides in our tastes, I think we are both coming to the table, articulating things that we earnestly like about these shows, and then acknowledging. But I prefer it in that world.
I acknowledge it.
Part of the worlds are in WWE. The fabulous promotion, the polished video packages, the repetition of details, which can be infuriating to AEW fans. And then part of the world in AEW are the on to the next thing, action. Like, you want more rest. Don't waste time on a video package. Don't waste time on going over the details of the promo, because the wrestler's going to say something else. And the thing they might say something else might be even better than the thing they said last week, because they're given a bit more freedom or whatever. It's a hard thing to say because we, as wrestling fans, think we know, like Brian Alvarez thinks he knows that, well, no, you've got to promote that there, you've got to promote that there. AEW never will try and embrace that.
Yeah. It's certain quirks that people can't change.
Are they philosophical? Are they even a wrestling promotion, or are they a wrestling company? And is WWE a promotion before it's a company?
No, absolutely.
Like, do you know? I think that's. But I don't mind that. I'm saying that we watch it for a living.
Yeah, but you can like them both at the same time, apparently.
you
know what I mean?
Yeah, you can, but you have to acknowledge the different things you like.
Yeah. For me as well, in my older years, like, slow it down, kid. You know who was doing media recently, and I can't remember that outlet because he's been doing quite a bit of it in view of, potentially being the AEW World Champion. Will Ospreay was talking to someone recently, saying, like, he was talking about New Japan's production and that one fixed shot and how much it's just you can luxuriate in things so much more. But he applied that opinion of his more generally to AEW's product, and he said, like, it's
Daily Star, I think it was.
Yeah, and he said he's found himself. He reckons 80, and I'm paraphrasing. Sorry if I get it wrong, but he basically, and I'm paraphrasing, said AEW has found itself in this sort of belly of the beast of episodic American TV where it feels it needs to go a million miles per hour at everything. And that has been a long-standing criticism. And because it's been such a long-standing criticism, it just feels like it's Tony's way. Like the long matches, like the long pay-per-views, the rapid-fire TV. He's a pretty fitful guy who loves to, like, be this person. So that accounts, I think, for the length of the pay-per-views and the rapid-fire nature of the TV. Yep, I think it's lost on him, and I don't think he cares. So
he doesn't care, I don't think.
No, he doesn't care. Does not care. Next question comes from a Mr. Crackhorn, first name Jimmy. Says, with New Japan being pretty awful these days, what can you see the big singles matches being for Forbidden Door? Oh, hey. Ospreay versus ZSJ main event. I would be happy to go with that. But, like, two reasons. One, ZSJ is still amazing. He's one of the proper identifiable New Japan guys at this point. He has amazing chemistry with Ospreay, which AEW fans who've never really ventured into New Japan or Rev Pro might not have seen. It's as good as a main event as it's got a floor of 4-3, like a floor of 4-3. And I just think that is a good match. For me, right, it's a bit cheap, but this is professional wrestling. What are you doing here if you can't embrace it a little bit at certain times? Hiroki Goto, who I keep meaning to really check out these New Japan matches. Apparently they are, like, a bit restorative, really emotional, really well crafted, is playing. Finally, he's the guy. And it's a nice story that, actually, he's established as the guy. He is doing this in tribute to his father, who passed away not too long ago.
Oh.
If you want an American pro wrestler to be an American pro wrestler and build a story from that, or at least get something, clearly MJF.
I thought you were going to say Christian Cage.
Well, there's three choices. Clearly MJF would be one of the best people to do that. Mm-hmm. He's not doing a job to Goto, and I don't think he's going to get the New Japan World title. For me, either Ricochet or Christian Cage versus Goto. Ricochet doesn't even necessarily need to bring that up, but Goto, it's not like the Eddie-sploitation thing at all.
No.
I've seen enough of it, not much, but enough of it to know it's just a really nice thing. But Ricochet's total knobhead of a character would contrast beautifully, I think, with what Goto's trying to do. And Ricochet, not like MJF, there are many political considerations with an event like Forbidden Door. He would do a job. I mean, he's done a job on a AEW New Japan co-branded show this year, and he's that upper mid-carder. I think he'd like to believe he's the main eventer. He's certainly putting himself forward for a title shot. Proper heel Ricochet versus Ospreay could be... I didn't want to see that match last year when they were bringing it back as this big thing. It's amazing, isn't it, now that, I'd want to see that, where these characters are, where they are. I know they did it in the C2, but I think this would be even better. Christian Cage versus Goto, I mean, that almost books itself.
Yeah.
But then by that time, Christian Cage is probably a babyface.
Well, that's because we're going to get to him and Edge, Cope, sooner rather than later, aren't we? This is going to sound preposterous, but Forbidden Door being what it is, and they're going to sell out, or they're going to sell most of the tickets at least.
They'll sell out.
They're going to sell out.
Yeah.
So they've got the freedom, I guess, to get not necessarily exhibition-y, but they can.
Of course, they
can treat themselves a bit.
Yeah, and they've already set the precedent very intelligently by doing right. I mean, this is all kind of over as a concept. Let's just have Ospreay and Swerve do an AEW canon main event and have featuring New Japan, you know?
Based on that, right, and allowing for, it wouldn't need to be something that uses much of the TV, if any at all, on Dynamite. And just a sheer act of disrespect, but something that feels like an enormous treat to the paying customers, like huge. Could you do the last ever Okada Tanahashi? Bitch troll Okada versus washed president Tanahashi, or is it too much tension?
I think there's too much
exit.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, I know he hopped on the card last year on prelims, but that was about it.
What a nice gift! Yeah, this is the last one.
Did you see the last one?
Well, I know it's as good as done as it is. But like, the other one that I was thinking of, because it's not just going to be New Japan potentially. Would they run back Ospreay and Oku?
Oh,
because the Forbidden Door doesn't just swing New Japan's way, does it? And like that was critically acclaimed and lauded in front of an audience that probably a lot of them have seen that, but you're elevating the stage.
They could subvert the story, do an eliminator. Now Ospreay's going to be the champ.
Aye.
Maybe next year they could do Ospreay, Oku, subvert the Rev Pro story, have Oku just beat him night one in the New World, and then Ospreay's like, oh, now it's time for me to hunt you down instead of the other way around.
We were on about Gabe Kidd and Kenny Omega as a nice bit of symmetry from how they ran Omega and Ospreay twice, and now Gabe Kidd wants to be the next Ospreay and whatever. And
on Gabe Kidd, considering that he loves to get violent and you can't take him seriously, and he hates AEW, and yes, I don't like that, but it would make sense. He's like, if you're a fat nerd who can't talk to girls, you watch AEW. If you're a big chad like me, top boy, you watch New Japan. Gabe Kidd versus main character Hangman Page. Like, that would be kind of concussive and brutal and real nice. And Kenny and Shingo. Apparently Kenny won Shingo again. I'm going to take
all right.
And I'll take that all day.
Have a look at that.
That's a 4-match card. Then you can do some trios and stuff underneath.
Can you imagine shaven-headed serious Shooter and serious Moxley, the boring father and son?
I'll go for a nice big piss.
They can do a tag match together. Like, finally you figured it out, Shooter.
Yeah, I can't go. I'm on holiday. I'm on holiday, sadly, for that one. I actually am as well.
You are, aren't you?
Yeah. Brandon Bethune says, what are your thoughts on Malakai Black possibly leaving AEW? I personally don't see it happening, but you know what they say never in wrestling. Look, it would be foolish of me. I mean, you never learn the lesson. It always feels like never say never. How could you say never to Punk going back to WWE when Bischoff went to Raw, but then CM Punk went back. So that is the ultimate reminder that never say never is actually a thing that you must never say. But the thing about Malakai Black is that he has had these rumors circulating around him for at least 3 years. Mm-hmm. And he's been insistent every single time, I'm not leaving. I don't know where these rumors come from. They're starting to... I was baffled and honestly a little bit upset that they keep happening. Like, please think of something else to talk about. Please take my word for it. I'm not leaving AEW. And I think maybe it's just time. I'm quite a cynical guy generally. And I'm not a big fan of Malakai Black. The glimpse of the real person who sets the record straight on these things, nor the wrestler or the character. Though the wrestler I actually really like in the right context, actually. That's really unfair. But I just think it's time people start listening to the bloke. Like, I mean, come on, man. Come on.
He just, like, it's a willful ignorance, I think, at this point. He's obviously just, when he's waving goodbye in the buildings, he's just saying, like, goodbye, I've enjoyed working in front of you.
And I'll come back on the loop in 6 months' time or whenever it is.
It's people, it's that, like, stubborn, like, what's that one that you like, the waffles and pancakes thing?
Thing on Twitter,
Just making up an argument to have instead in the face of, like, obvious truth.
Yeah.
It's like, well, then that must mean that, man. Well, why must it mean that?
I know.
Stop being so irrational.
Yeah.
Good question, though.
A really good question. I just think that, like, even I'm at this point saying, come on, the guy's said it enough times. Let's just start believing him.
Yeah.
Okay. Rob Doolan asks, what is the best song not conceived as a wrestling theme, but with a wrestling connection? Example given, My Way, Mania 17. You might have answered your own question there. If you think about it, right, My Way is written by Fred Durst. It covers the Attitude Era, and yet it feels like so, I don't know, euphoric. I get nostalgic for a nice time, even though it was pretty gross.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know why it's so perfect. It's just like those two things.
Well, it goes back to the prior question, video packages and promotion.
Yeah.
You could say the same thing about Greenlight. That wasn't written
Green Light was my other answer because that is it's like what other than that's what we're talking about here. Green Light for me. And again, it's inexplicable because I don't like Pitbull, Flow Rider, whoever it is. Who is it?
Lunch Money Lewis is the other one, but yeah, it's all three of them. Yeah, I'm not particularly a fan of either three, but
no, and I didn't even like that WrestleMania in execution. Nor did I like WWE very much at the time, and yet it's a magic concoction. The video package works. People, God damn it, Tony.
I'm not a Weekend guy, but they've rinsed that album, and all of them have worked in their own context. And like, I think he had a good run of those WrestleMania songs. It was Gasoline for WrestleMania 40. There's almost nothing to the song when you listen to it, and then seeing like WrestleMania 40 soundtrack to it, and the song playing. I had it this year with Fiend. Like a lot of them don't work, but that promotional machine behind it.
I sing that to James.
It's in you, innit? And it's
I sing that to my son to just I don't know, sometimes like annoying him.
Oh my god!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
It's time to play the game! Time to play the game! Ha 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 ha!
Name an iconic AEW video package within 5 seconds.
Hangman Page, right before he finally beats Kenny Omega.
Other than that.
I keep thinking of them, but they're ones that Adam Nicholas has made because they're better. Like, there must have been a Punk MJF one. You kidding me, brother? There wasn't, was there?
Well, I can't remember.
Insane.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That story was so good. I can remember it beat for beat. I reckon I
remember it like a video package.
I can probably write down exactly when each insult, promo battle, pinnacle match, whatever, all happened. But that was just too good and too memorable. Look, what I like, other than, you know what's funny? When Tony Khan just kind of refuses to do this, willfully just doesn't want to do it, is that you don't have to wear a hat to be a cowboy was literally referenced by your future imminent ace, Will Ospreay, who is a match guy, as one of the best moments in AEW history. It annoys me. I think they've got the talent to do it. I think they've got the creative to do it. Do more of it. Do more of it, for Christ's sake. I remember ahead of Full Gear 2020 that did Cinderella. They were for Page Omega.
That was not just because the creative machine was firing on every cylinder, but the pandemic was probably the best time for AEW's making visuals. Like, I'm thinking of Hangman Page in the mirror, and I'm like, well, that should be in a video. It's not. I'm just thinking of him in the mirror.
It might be in one. The Goodbye at Daly's Place.
Oh my God, that's the one.
That's the one.
That's the one. That's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
I'll watch that later.
I've got I
just felt on my arms there, because it's really emotional and it's real. And what they were doing is...
Do you have that same reaction to Jay Lethal versus Nick Wayne?
I do not.
You know what I mean? Do you?
No.
Because I sure don't.
And when a curtain's falling, and you just seeing like people crashing through tables and like, oh my God, that is shoot goosebumps. That's brought right there.
Tom Waits, Mr. Brody Lee, of course, as well.
Yeah, incredible.
Oh, Jesus Christ, that was
but like
that was something.
The point of those video packages is, and this is the AEW thing, right? The song is whatever. The video is simply a collection of spots, occasionally set to lyrics. I imagine, I can't edit Save My Life, but I imagine most editors would say that's like rudimentary stuff. It's a
massive skill.
They worry about making...
Editing's a massive skill.
But they worry about making the visuals first. They're not thinking of the video package. They're thinking of the product. And then at the end, somebody's got the talent to turn that into a video package. Yeah. That's how that company operates, isn't it? That pandemic made the moments. Tony Khan was worried about booking the stuff.
Yeah.
Was worried about telling the stories.
They can do both. They can do both.
They can do both, yeah.
That's the worst thing is that there's been some. They're amazing at it, evidently. Do more of it. Do more of it, and people will start really, people remember these things more than Nick Wayne versus Jay Lethal. And yes, I know there's been a million WWE TV matches. They do them most weeks that you'll never remember, but they do the packages and promotion, and these things goddamn count. Right. Zam Biryanistan says, hello, legends. Hello, right back.
Oh.
Genuinely, what is the ceiling for Rusev, Aleister Black in WWE and Ricochet in AEW? I don't see them going past the mid-card title run. With Ricochet, neck and neck with Kyle Fletcher, as they could be the heel that dethrones whoever dethrones Jon Moxley for me. So I think Ricochet, if he keeps at it, and this isn't just, I want to run Ricochet hard, and this is just, he's a made guy, like a made guy. I think Ricochet, world champion, end of this year, World's End, breaking the heart of Will Ospreay. That could happen to me. I can actually see it. I can never imagine Rusev or Ali Black having even the Seth Rollins belt. That World Heavyweight title, B title. If Aleister Black wants to be in a main event WWE storyline with its dramatic beats and its sound bites in the video packages, maybe he's going to have to come up with something that people will remember. It's one sentence, Ali. It's just one sentence, bro. If you come up with something that's vaguely coherent and sounds cool and is like a great threat or a great promise or a great moment of defiance, and they can put it in a video package, then they'll start thinking of you on those terms. I think they're both going to maybe get a dead Intercontinental or US title. The US titles, they're both in decent health. The United States title looked like it was going to go away for a while. But Jacob Fatu's got it now. Yeah. And the man maketh the belt. And Dom's got it. So, two great choices, really, if you think about it.
Good contrasts as well.
That's their ceiling. That is their ceiling for me.
Yeah, I can't really disagree with that. I've been pretty stubborn and frustrated with both Rusev and Aleister Black, but it's not... I feel bad sometimes because it's not them I'm picking on. It's the idea that the default position should be sign them because we're right where AEW was at a few years back. Well, you got to sign them. Do you? Do you really? And I don't think at the moment it's flipped the other way where I don't feel it's WWE that's not asking that one last question. Do you really need them? But it's not personal attacks on them. I extend that to Jeff Cobb, who has never been in the WWE setting and could be amazing this year. But it's where I'm at with it. Rusev. The thing is, WWE would always lie and talk about, and Vince McMahon specifically would talk about brass rings and CM Punk, I'll grab for your brass rings. Cesaro can't get brass rings because he's Swiss, whatever, right? But the reason they've
and he doesn't have megastar charisma.
That was harsh truth. The thing about the brass ring myth is that sometimes it wasn't a myth. So it would only every now and then take one wrestler to break through unexpectedly. And you'd be like, see? It's bollocks, man. And it was gaslighting more than it was. Gaslighting more than it wasn't. But sometimes somebody breaks through. See? And then, so anyone can.
Yeah.
Theoretically. So Rusev and Aleister Black.
I acknowledge you.
Could. Rusev, the one thing that they both have will probably be a much bigger, fearful respect for the process and an increased sense of self-respect, kind of colliding with each other. They're going to know their worth more than ever. They're also going to know that they want to be in WWE rather than the Abyss. So they're going to, it's a bit like CM Punk. They're going to have to pick the spots. They're going to want to finally show, well, no, I'm kind of above some of these other. You signed me back for a reason. We need you to go out there and fight Otis tonight. Okay, boss, let's get me on Raw. Yeah. That's the balancing act. Rusev, I could see it. Rusev had it once. I always go back to the Rusev Day thing. That was a systemic failure, but there were so many at the time that you kind of just wrote it off. He was
deliberate failure, one might say.
He was on the cusp of creating his own yes movement there, and they cut the legs off that. If somebody does that once, they can do it again. He might have that little thing. I've never seen that top tier in Aleister Black, truthfully.
No, mate. I will say, challenge my own biases. This is what I want to start doing. Don't be so cynical. Challenge your own confirmation bias. My take on Ali Black is he talks utter nonsense. And he's got that. He's like the goth Tyler Bate in that he's got that sequence that will always pop a crowd.
Yeah.
That he could probably do until he's 50 in any promotion, any show. He's got that sequence where it's right, it's pretty cool. The leg sweep,
Tyler Bate does it in his 50s.
Yeah, no. So, but what else you got? Well, I don't know if but then maybe in the Fed, you don't need that long, intricate, back and forth mega match. The only reason I'm challenging my biases here, and not just call him the goth Tyler Bate. I'm trying to be nice. There's not many men's wrestlers down in NXT on the come up who are just going to make them relics. So he shouldn't have signed them. Another Andrade who doesn't really get to the next level. That's just what these wrestlers don't do. Maybe, then again, NXT's men's roster sucked all year last year, and Andrade still couldn't get booked. So
backhanded compliment incoming. In the run-up to WrestleMania, and we have praised him a lot on this podcast, but it was that story that got out, which I maintain was a work then and work now and whatever. But that story got out that like Drew McIntyre, unhappy with his WrestleMania lot, goes and has like a really nice undercard match with Damian Priest, like in the aftermath. See. But our take on that, I think, was the same. Like, you got to look at the levels, mate.
Yeah, you're not Punk.
You're not Punk, right?
I can understand him looking at Seth Rollins and going, oh,
yeah.
I'm no worse than him.
Yeah. He's him. So to that point, right, to now give Drew a bit of credit, because we've had a bit of a dig there, I don't think Rusev and Aleister Black are a Drew right now.
Nah,
so
no
if you're looking at the levels, you're like,
chance.
No, like they cannot knock on CM Punk's door right now, or Roman Reigns, or whatever. But they should believe in their mind they could knock on Drew McIntyre's door, and I'm watching thinking they can't. And that's the new.
Yeah,
got to get there before they can even think of getting there. But some people might have thought, Rusev straight back in. He's coming in straight at the Drew McIntyre level. I don't think he is. I think there's like work to be done.
Yeah. Well, I agree. So where are we? Right, we've got 3 left. The studio needs to be vacated shortly, so we'll not take too long, sadly, on these. Sir Samuel, very good writer, you should check his stuff out, actually, says, is Hangman Page the best wrestler in the world right now? In my mind, he blends the high-end work rate of an Ospreay or Takeshita with character work in a way no one else does. We've got a new feature that debuted this week, okay? And it's this. Don't hurt me. Sacrilege Corner, where I don't want to be, I don't want to pile on for like a wrestle cringe hot take. But, we're all friends here. We've developed a nice little rapport, you and I. So let's not do the pile on. Just let me have it. And if you disagree, just let's agree to disagree. I can't remember the last key match, and I know not everything is about 100% immaculate execution, right? Yeah. I can't remember the last match Konosuke Takeshita wrestled where there wasn't one really awkward moment. There was like a really awkward Blue Thunder Bomb against Ospreay on Dynamite this week. There was that real botched Poison Rana with Kenny.
Oh, yeah.
The Kenny Takeshita match on the pay-per-view, Revolution, off without a hitch. So maybe that's harsh. But then there was some flubs on Takeshita's part in the Ospreay match on the Spring Breakthrough. So maybe Takeshita is below that level, the Ospreay level. I'd put Hangman Page above him, but that's by the by. And that brings an end, of course, to, don't hurt me. Sacrilege Corner, okay? It's either Ospreay or Hangman for me. Using that Bret Hart criteria of create categories that every wrestler needs to do. Look, working ability, promo. Who's the 10 and then character. It's probably more a thing than it was now than it was in Bret's day, I guess. Because it's then we were on the age of cinema and all the rest of it. Page and ring, 10. Promo, 9. Look, 9, 10. Character work, 10. So I don't disagree, and I think it's a great take because I don't think, certainly in the early days of AEW and in concert with Page in 2021, Kenny was up there. The character work's kind of missing for me. The physical work and how he sells, he's maybe never been better at pure selling Kenny Omega. But in terms of his character work, the little details, I don't think he cares to do them anymore. If you watch that interview with the guy who created Devil May Cry, he doesn't seem to care. He seems to be in a huff. Still, Kenny in the Book still seem to be in a bit of a huff, saying, we don't get to do PTE. You know you didn't care about it before CM Punk turned up, so let's not scapegoat Punk. I'm always down for that, but I don't think it's accurate on this occasion. So Kenny would have been up there. Can't remember the last truly bit of wonderful detail that he gave me. Hangman still does it.
Is Kenny just missing uni? It's like that last pre-AEW days uni.
Yeah.
And he's like,
I think a little bit.
A lot of life is like uni, and he's like, oh yeah, there's a similarities. I still get like, hey, you go out drinks with your mates. That you did that at uni. Is that the same? Like, yeah, he still wrestled with the Young Bucks. That's in his uni, though.
It's not the same.
Like, that was like that, last bit of nude Ring of Honor overlap they were doing,
BTE
like the
thing.
BTE.
If we were doing Deadly's Discourse, which we didn't want to touch GCW with a 10-foot goddamn pole this week, it might make its return, it might make its full debut another time. This BTE stuff and Punk's a hero for killing it, they is far back as the end of 2019, early 2020. The take was, they're still doing it on BTE. Kenny and Colt Cabana had some good stuff.
Yes.
They had some good stuff.
Real good stuff.
But the take, and it was completely warranted, and the one, if I recall correctly, was thank God for the Dark Order. They're still fighting for BTE.
Brody Lee.
Yeah, he's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it just felt like, it was just time. Nothing can last forever. Certainly what BTE was. So I don't know. Maybe they just got a little bit rose-tinted, because apparently Kenny was saying he was watching it with the Bucks. And again, I reiterate, favorite wrestler of all time, favorite tag team of all time. But come on, lads. Come on, you stopped caring, and you know you stopped caring if you look at yourselves properly in the mirror.
They became like bosses.
Yeah, maybe they got rose-tinted.
Yeah, they were probably they're looking back on that as the very last bit before they became like management guys and whatever guy.
There's probably some days at uni that I had 24/7 party, mate.
Good question, this, because
Ospreay doesn't have that depth of character Hangman does, granted, but God damn it, I kind of believe him more as a promo. I think he's a better promo and a better in-ring wrestler.
Ospreay.
Like, just. But is he an all-rounder? Like, the Hangman he would consider as the ultimate all-rounder.
That's it on the match this week. I was wanting more of Hangman stuff than what we got, which makes me think I'm probably favouring Hangman over Ospreay. I don't know.
So it's Punk for you, innit, though? The best.
It's Punk for me, but like I can completely acknowledge
Karrion Kross's body. He's got his own mind, but he's got Karrion Kross's body.
I can completely acknowledge why
I've said that before.
Hangman Page is like right up there, though. I was trying to decide if I could wedge Swerve into the conversation, because I can tolerate I think I'm more tolerant of his mistake weeks more than you are, because
I love Swerve. I think he's amazing.
I think he radiates a bigger aura than the pair of them, and like by a lot, to be honest. And
it Swerve's right.
It's here we go again. But
don't hurt me. Sacrilege corner. Swerve can sometimes, and it's the ultimate big swing what Swerve does. And I admire the hell of how bold he is, and more so when he pulls it off. It's like there's not a cooler guy in the entire industry when he pulls it off than Swerve. Sometimes he tries a little bit too hard to be a bit sinister or evil.
Can't cut people's thumbs off.
You can't do that. He hasn't done that for a long time.
No.
But there are times, even in his promos, where...
Maybe I like getting a needle in my mouth. I'm a psycho.
I don't mind that.
But I think that's like diverts him from his...
Yeah, there's just a certain point when you are playing the coolest, most sinister, most psychotic, unhinged guy in wrestling, and you pull it off 9 times out of 10. It's kind of an unparalleled thrill when Swerve's at his best. When he has a stumbling through his words promo, it's like, oh, dude, no. It's kind of bad when he gets it wrong. It's like anything. It's like if you're going for that most intricate guitar solo, and then it's just you flub a note. It's like, oh, why'd you bother?
Hey, just quickly, he's a wrestler. Gun ahead right now. They don't have to be best. They don't have to what. Who's the wrestler you get most excited to sit down and watch? Like if they're on a card or they're advertised, any company, any show.
For a few weeks there, it was Carl Fletcher.
Mm-hmm.
But
because mine is funny that because I was going to say Stephanie Vaquer. Like I'm not sitting here and saying she's the best wrestler in the world.
Yeah,
but that's the one right now. And we both named these people in our gear question.
Yeah,
so is that person where you're just like it's you right now? That's what I'm tuning in for.
I think Ospreay's the very best wrestler in the world still, and I think he's really grasping that he doesn't have to go 100 miles per hour in terms of intensity and in terms of trying to make something happen on TV. In terms of, it's probably him in the right context. When he's, I know he's going to cut a promo and establish himself as, I'm going to be the champion. It's like, I need AEW to have a champion at this point. So I'm always like, come on, it's him. Give it to him. MJF's coming back in that conversation. But probably Kyle Fletcher.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the best, but...
It's funny though, isn't it? Like when you really think that one person, there's always at least one at any given time, your current favourite or whatever. You sit down.
Yeah.
There,
as I said after on the review of Dynasty, that Mark Briscoe match, which was demented in terms of how hard they were going. It's like Carl Fletcher's got 8 years of this potentially. Like, how much harder is he going to kill people? It's like, I need to see that. I need to see that. Last 2 questions. Gearoid Roche. I don't know what that is. I'm sorry, I've butchered it. Thanks for all the work you do to entertain us all, lads. Hey, you're welcome. What was the best act of creating, putting over a new star ever done? Right. This is a cheap plug. Subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling podcasts on YouTube if you haven't already. We go into depth on Bret Hart versus Steve Austin, WrestleMania 13, where putting over a new star, it was in fact too good because, God bless him, Tony Khan has tried to do something similar with everyone on the roster for 5-6 years. It's a moment in time. You can't just do it. You cannot manufacture something like that. But the best act of creating a star, right? There's very little such thing, which makes the example that pops into my head all the time all the more impressive. There's growing pains and a learning curve, and it just happens. It doesn't get created. It happens organically. Like, The Rock sucked for a while. Austin was always amazing, but the promoters just took ages to get it. So that took some time.
They needed an intelligent wrestler like Bret Hart to see it and find it and create it.
Yeah,
I mean, Austin wanted it.
Exactly.
Really wanted it.
Don't necessarily like putting this guy over anymore, but I mean, they nailed Brock Lesnar pretty much immediately. It's hard not to, with that amount of hyperbole, that amount of raw natural talent, that amount of like an aliens-looking dude who just doesn't exist. He can't exist, but he does, and he's saving 2002. For me, in terms of creating from scratch, this is probably the only time Vince McMahon did it almost by himself. Didn't do Hulkamania, didn't do Austin 316, you know. Booking Kurt Angle as an anachronistic babyface who doesn't know he's a heel was nothing short of a masterstroke. And it might be the earliest on sight I've ever fell in love with a wrestler, other than when I was a kid, when I was getting a bit more discerning, you know.
The first real athlete in World Wrestling. You? What?
Just Survivor Series. Who was he wrestling?
Sean Stays,
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Takes a powder, gets the mic. What you doing? Oh, I'm an Olympic gold medalist, and you're booing me. I was like, get it. This is amazing. You are going to be the WWF champion in under a year. This is the best thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm howling at laughter at you, and you're amazing in the ring already, and it's been a day. That's, for me, the ultimate creating a star.
I was trying to think of a match. Whenever it's like best ever, I always get stressed because then I was like, oh no, I should have said that one. I got it wrong.
Best match ever.
So best match ever will.
WhatCulture Wrestling podcast on YouTube.
It is Bret and Austin. I saw the blade in real life. I just stared at it for a bit. Austin gave it to Bret in like a frame.
And you've seen it in the Calgary bar. Oh God, here he is, Mr. America. Like Hulk Hogan over here.
Like a triangle point with loads of tape around it, because obviously Bret would have had it in between his knuckles as he was punching him and cutting him. And like, well, you should be better. It's why Punk cuts like that.
Yeah.
A stab.
He did it after Bret Hart.
Rather than a slice, it's a stab. That's like a Bret tip. Bang, 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 bang. Because like
he's got the best one.
And Punk's the best bleeder, so he's like, oh yeah, right. So I took from the best. And it's why Bret's at WrestleMania 8, why Flair got popped straight away, and Bret said it was a work. Oh. I didn't do nothing. So I just thought of a match. A match popped into my head there because you have to look at the context of the time, and it was like
the Kabashi undefeated. Like the defeated losing streak was really good.
I mean, I can't speak to that, but I will trust your judgment on it entirely. The Land of the Giants wasn't as much
just
a thing.
The principle for how fans get behind, how Japanese wrestling fans get behind wrestlers. Okay. It was just an ideal vehicle to push them. But anyway, sorry.
Well, in that regard, I was going to say that makes me think the Raymake shock.
Yeah.
Because you take a month between him reappearing as this guy that looks nowhere near ready.
He looked like he was in puberty.
And then the Rainmaker emerges for this match and wins.
If you do yourself a favor, right? After you listen to this podcast, I've got one more question to go. Google the match graphic for Okada versus Yoshihashi, I think, at the Wrestle Kingdom 2012.
When he's just come back from...
He looks like he's 14, and you're like, oh, God. What a gawky looking weird freak you look like. It's honestly awful to look at him.
Like serious Jack Swagger shirt, trousers.
Just look at his nose. It's his face. It is his face. He looks like he's 14 years old. I'll show you it after this.
The one I had, it wasn't quite Land of the Giants WWF, but it was still pretty close in 1993. And it's a very famous match, so I'm not like going for a deep pull or anything, but really, really watch what that does in making a star. And the wrestler will say it did. Razor Ramon and the 1-2-3 Kid.
Yeah.
Like, that is such a... Like, the booking is obviously designed. All booking should be designed to be getting people over. So the booking is designed to get somebody over there.
You blows your head off that. You can only ever do it once.
Razor Ramon, like, simultaneously works that match, like, with the cruelty of a guy that knows he's going to get beat, but with the selflessness of somebody that is going to do everything to sell this loss as the single worst moment of his entire career. And the Kid had worked Sabu and had worked Jerry Lynn and was this like underground sensation. Wade Keller was telling everybody that like Lightning Kid's the best. Like, you got to see this Lightning Kid. And then he rocks up in WWE, Sean Waltman, and he's done 2 jobs on Raw in the 2 weeks prior. So the Manhattan Center are familiar with Skinny Kid. Skinny Kid.
Skinny Cat.
Skinny Cat.
I don't think that you can.
Getting knocked about by Dog and Mr. Hughes. So, like, they're just, like...
1, 2, 3 Cat.
1, 2, 3 Cats. Been beaten by a clown, the big lad. He's now... And he's, like, you know, whatever he is, 180 pounds soaking wet or something. So, like, he's got no chance against Razor Ramon. And that's economical. It's very, very powerful because the Kid celebrates like he's been through, like, a 2-hour war. And again, when you watch the tapes, it's so funny that he's, like, knocking out these futuristic classics against Jerry Lynn and Sabu, but he can make a 2-minute squash look like he's had the fight of his life.
Yeah.
So you've seen the art of the work taking place. And he's made. He is made in that one night.
One of the Skinny Wimps has won.
Razor Ramon's a babyface after the fact.
Blew my mind, that. One of the Skinny Wimps, as we used to call them when I was a kid. They won. Got time for one more question. Scott Coulson. Just VAR, a great one, but it goes a bit in depth, so we don't have time. Scott, good guy. Bring that back next week, please. And last question, Matt Reigns. And we're going to answer it pretty damn quickly. Well, I am anyway. Happy birthday, King and Bester. Hope you're both doing well. I'm all right. What the hell can AEW do to shift more tickets for All In? I know it's 2 months out, but that number from WrestleTix is, yeah, correct. Company has been so good this year, and it doesn't seem to matter. Cheers, brothers. The long and short of it for me, as much as I love the idea and the mythology and just the sheer college try of the All In brand, especially when you're doing residencies on TV, you have no divine right to run a stadium.
Yeah.
It would be lovely if you did. The visual of a wrestling company not named WWE doing a stadium show is amazing. You can't book a wrestling brand, which All In is, on sentimentality alone. It's star power, star power, star power, star power, star power. And for whatever reason, the unbelievably stacked roster of AEW is not considered stars. You know, when people talk about the 1992 Royal Rumble, the most star-studded, it wasn't. I mean, it looks that way because it's a composite of stars who were stars once upon a time.
Glad you bring this up because it kind of winds me up.
They were not stars in 1992. Do you know what outdrew it? The 1993 Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
So, look, it doesn't matter that Hangman's amazing, Ospreay's amazing, MJF's amazing, Kenny Omega's amazing, Fletcher, Takeshita, and so on and on it goes. Moxley's a draw, Samoa Joe's a draw, but by relative, you can't build a brand on this sentimental, nice thing, this surreal thing that it's in a stadium. There's no divine right to do it. The idea is
23 was the point at which Vincent Mann said stadiums every year.
Yeah.
23 years of establishing WrestleMania as the Super Bowl of wrestling.
23 years. There's no divine right. They can't sell the tickets, so stop doing it. Does All In a mere arena betray the idea of it? Maybe. So just don't do it.
It relates to All In and Matt's question about a company who's been so good this year.
They've put themselves against a wall. They've painted themselves into the corner with this.
They have. It's a baseball stadium, so they're probably 20 felt possible, didn't it? They're going to get 20 for...
you know what?
For Forbidden Door.
Do it at Arthur Ashe every year with your biggest matches on pay-per-view, and it might work. Or is there any other? Like, do Wimbledon for all I give a fuck. If it looks like a stadium and you can call it a stadium, but you're getting 20,000, that might be the way to go. Otherwise,
Craven Cottage the move next or something. But
apparently, they can't do Craven Cottage because it's such an old ramshackle building. I'd love to see it, and obviously that was the idea. They've said it was the idea, but apparently it's so ramshackle that it's simply not logistically feasible to get their production set up in and out of it.
I'd probably go in the neutrals end. All hope isn't lost for Matt Reigns, like your subject and my best friend, because he does put in the question, company's been so good this year and it doesn't seem to matter. That, Matt, I'm relieved to tell you, is not true. You were just talking about All In. Like, one day that could go back to a 10,000 seat.
That was the subject of his question, mate.
That All In 2018 was in the Now Arena, which is where Dynamite was on Wednesday, and there was only 5,000 people there for that. However...
4.5, I think.
However, the numbers are going up. Year on year for the first time, those numbers are creeping up again. Whether it be television ratings, whether it be crowds, 4,000 for TV is healthy rather than sort of 2,000 or 4,000 in a 20,000 seat arena. Like, things are mattering again, but this takes ages.
It takes ages.
Like, this takes absolutely ages. And I think, like, you were going to see by the end of this year, like, it's the WrestleNomics graphs.
It takes so long, that Austin Undertaker Dyer was outdrawn Austin Dude Love Seminole.
Yeah. Austin and Brett takes place on the lowest bought WrestleMania ever.
Yes.
Like, there are loads of examples like that. I think by the end of this year, those WrestleNomics graphics, for the first time in a year, will be tiny line of green. It's not big, but they're just not going to be deep in the red for the first time. Like, it is mattering, but it's not going to matter quick enough for All In.
For this specific All In, you have got the presumed, or at least people will prepare, the buy-in of the idea of Death Riders is coming to an end. The biggest women's match in AEW history, the biggest one they could possibly do, is happening. The sequel to what is widely recognized within certain critic circles, the very best wrestling match there will ever be, much less
love to see the ticket sales when that match gets announced.
Yeah.
I'm so fascinated in what that means for business when that match appears on the
freaking video package. I'll tell you that for now. That's happening. The unironic, all the stars are here. They're making it. People are baffled by the idea of Tony Storm, Mercedes Money, because one of them's got to lose. So did Hogan and Warrior. You know, that's why we do these things on these nights. For this specific All-In, the matches are there. You have to, I don't know what to do, video packages. And maybe that's a nice little circular bow around this podcast. Because
buy in and have a great time, and then maybe you do better next year because the audience will be there for it because they'll remember what that was.
Yeah.
Just got to hold the wheel.
Yeah. Hold the wheel and stop being such a defensive bitch. Not you, Matt Reigns. I'm talking, of course, about the Tony Khan.
Don't hurt me.
Anyway.
That was him at All In 2020.
Phil, don't hurt me. Okay, and on that note, thank you very much for everyone who asked the questions. Even if we didn't get around to answering them, try and bloody look next time. This has been your questions answered. Thank you very much again for joining us and submitting your cues. And thank you very much for Michael Hamflett for joining me. If you can't get enough of this guy, he recorded, I will never listen to it, what I presume would be a very self-indulgent preview of WWE SmackDown, which if you're still looking for some podcast dopamine, you can listen to that right now. Back next week. All going well with the usual crap. And, until then, don't forget to like, share, and that's a YouTube. Can't do outros. You know who can? Adam Wilborn. So watch him do it next week. See you later.